Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are talking, tonight, we're talking about multiplication one step and multiplication division with one step equations. So, let's jump in. Just a reminder, if we have this, 3x equals 12, that 3x, that number next to that variable, they're squished together, that really means multiplication. The other ways you might see it, remember, it's 3 parentheses x, that also means multiplication, or you could also see it as 3 dot x. Okay, or 3 dot whatever our variable is. They all mean the same thing. Traditionally, you will see it as 3x equals 12. So, just a reminder also, inverse properties. Inverse equals opposite. Woohoo! Yay! Okay. Anyways, so going back into this, I'm going to start by drawing my line. That's just the way life works. This is 3 times x. So, what is the inverse? What's the opposite of multiplying by a 3? Good, we're going to divide by a 3. And in this form of algebra, we draw a line and do this. Okay? 3 divided by 3 is really 1. So this is really 1x. 12 divided by 3 is 4. But that 1x, we don't actually ever see that one. That's one of those invisible ones. And I talk about that, invisible one is there, but you never really see it. So it's going to be x equals 4. And I know you guys want to see how to do the check. So it's 3x equals 12. Okay. We think that the x is 4, so I'm going to replace that. So it's 3 times 4. All I did was just rewrite it a slightly different way. It's the same thing, because you don't want to make it look like 34. And 3 times 4 is 12, which equals 12, and yes, we are correct. Okay, let's try another one. And again, if you need to, go ahead, pause it, see what happens. Not going anywhere. So let's try one where it's 5y equals 100. Okay? If you want to, go ahead and pause, because I think you're pretty good at these. So I'm going to draw my line, dividing. Let's try and get a straight line, though, by 5, and dividing by 5, because remember, we got to keep these equations balanced. They're, that balancing act for you gymnasts on the balance beam who can actually do flips and things. This is all things you do. So this is y, and then 100 divided by 5. We can even check our multiplication charts, but that tells us that's 20. So my check, 5y equals 100. But I'm going to replace that y with a 20, so it's really 5 times 20 equals 100. Do not use an x, please. We are past that. If you use an x, remember, that will not count as a multiplication sign anymore. 5 times 20 is 100, which equals 100, and we are correct. Woohoo! Okay, so now let's try some division ones. The division ones can be tricky. I won't lie. But once you get them down, you're going to start doing them more and more. You're going to go, oh, these are easy. I got these. So let's look at them. So because I think they're fun, I'm putting them in this fun blue. So, for example, we would have x divided by 4 equals 10. First thing, for all my equations, I don't care if this is multi-step, if we're doing a whole bunch of things, we want to do the line, okay? Now, right now I know that my x is being divided by this 4. So, what is going to be the opposite, or inverse, of dividing by a 4? Good. That's multiplying by a 4. Okay, so then I'm going to do the same thing on that side and multiply by a 4. And so these actually are going to cancel each other out, leaving us with just x, and this is going to be 40. The check, x over 4, or x divided by 4, equals 10. going to put in place of this x, what did we say it was? We said we thought it was 40. So it's going to be 40 divided by 4 equals 10. And then we say, okay, what is 40 divided by 4? Cool, that's 10, and that equals 10. And ta-da, we are checked off. Okay? So, let's see. X divided by 2 equals 3. This one can also be written as 1 over 2x equals 3. Okay? It means the same thing. Don't freak out. Okay? I know you guys are going, oh my gosh, there's a fraction. No, what do I do? No, don't do that. It's the same thing. Remember, in front of this x, we just can't see it. There's that invisible 1. So if I wanted to, I could put it there, but I don't need to, because I don't state, hey, guess what, guys? There's only one x. I can say there's an x. So I don't really need that 1 there, which is why I don't make it show up. So I'm just showing you another way to show this. Okay, I'm going to start by drawing my line. X divided by 2. The opposite or inverse is multiplying by 2. And I'm going to multiply by 2 here. And so these cancel, so I have x, and 3 times 2 is 6. Okay? It's the same thing. This way is a little bit different. So the reason this way is a little bit different, remember guys, instead of multiplying or dividing, we are going to multiply by the reciprocal, which is 2 over 1. Actually, I think I threw that at you guys a little too fast, so let's do that one down below so I can show you what it looks like if we have a fraction. I just wanted to show you how it looks. Okay, so let's say we have 2 over 3x, let's see, equals 8, okay? So, with this one, let me just move this really quickly. I think this is how we do this. Yay! Okay. So, what is the opposite? Because this really goes back to the fact that this is a multiplication problem. But if you remember, what is the opposite of multiplying with a fraction? It's dividing. But when we divide a fraction, we have to flip the second one. So in order to flip this, I'm going to do 3 over 2. And the reason we do 3 over 2, yes, I forgot my line. Thank you for everyone who reminded me. This is really 6 over 6, because 3 times 2 and 2 times 3 is going to give us 6. Okay? Now, what is 6 over 6? You guys remember that? How many 6s does it take to make a 6? Just 1. 1x. Okay? And remember, we don't actually keep that 1x there. Well, we keep the x there, but remember that 1 kind of just magically disappears. Okay? So, now, since I multiplied this side by 3 over 2, I have to do the same thing to this side. And when I do that, remember, this isn't just an 8. This is really an 8 over 1. So those of you who know how to cross-cancel, go for it. If you don't, stick with us. So we just go from left to right. So 8 times 3 is 24. 1 times 2 is 2. Okay, now how many 2's does it take to make 24? Good, that would be 12. And here's our answer. I know you guys are asking for the check, so we'll do the check. So our check tells us 2/3 x equals 8. So in order to do this, I'm going to be replacing my x with this 12. And so it's going to be 2/3 times 12. And I'm going to make it into a fraction just to make it easier for us. And remember, when we multiply fractions, we go from left to right. So 2 times 12 is 24. 3 times 1 is 3. Now, we have to ask ourselves, how many sets of 3 does it take to make 24? Or 24 divided by 3, depending on how you'd like to think of it. Good. That's 8, which equals 8. And we are correct. Okay? So these shouldn't be too bad. Don't get caught up in the fact that we're doing multiplication and division. If you guys got the addition and subtraction, you will have no problems with these. Okay? Just be careful of those fractions. And I know the next question everyone's asking right now. In general, what happens with this x is it hangs out up top. Okay? Whenever you have that variable, it always tends to go with the top number. Okay. Well, that's it. These are pretty short. And I will see you guys in class.